Hi, I'm Kelly,
And I'm Deborah.
and together with Two Gals Travel Tips. Today, we're going to talk about going to Barcelona.
Now, with Barcelona, we want to start with our flight. How much is our flight to Barcelona?
So I found a deal on Kayak, which is generally the source I use, for $341 round trip from Boston to Barcelona in that shoulder season we like, $341 per person, carry-on bag, no check-in luggage.
That's a really great deal, actually.
It is a great deal.
Yeah. Now, for staying in Barcelona, obviously we've got our choice of hotel or Airbnb or renting an apartment. So what did we find?
So generally speaking, we prefer Airbnbs because we like kind of a bigger space on a less budget. And I found $250 per person for 7 days, 7 nights in Barcelona, 4 people staying.
Okay. And is that inside the city?
It is right in the city. And it is a place that I actually am renting in May. It has 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, I believe, right in the heart of the city with on-street parking, and we will include a picture of it, but I can't speak for it yet, but it looks very nice and gets great reviews. It is, what is it called when you're a good Airbnb person?
Superhost.
Superhost. He's a superhost.
Oh,
so,
very
yes.
nice.
Yeah.
Is it close to Metro?
It is. It is walkable to the metro. Speaking of the metro, that is the best way to get around Barcelona. So the Metro card in Barcelona is called the Hola Barcelona card, and that is $44 for 5 days. Now we've chosen only a 5-day pass because we are going to kind of rent a car and go outside of the city and take day trips. You could do 7 days in Barcelona. However, there are a lot of great day trips right outside of Barcelona. So that is why we've chosen that pass.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. Now, food is another major expense. How much are we budgeting for food?
So I budgeted $400 per person, which is probably way more than you need in Barcelona. So there is a tapa culture in Spain, if you're not familiar with it. If you go to a bar and order a drink, it is standard for them to offer you a tapa. In fact, it is considered rude if they do not offer you a tapa. So you could actually go to Barcelona and just order a drink and get some tapas, go to the next bar, order a drink, get some tapas, and eat that way. So $400 is probably way more than you need to eat in that city, but our budget allowed it. So, you know, you can have a lot of sangria in Barcelona.
That's right. Yeah, because as I remember, the food was very, relatively inexpensive generally. So, yeah, good. Now, we are going to think about renting a car for our day trips.
Right. So there are a lot of great day trips outside of Barcelona. So most of them you could do by public transit, although we're Americans and we like our own car. So it is, with 4 people, more affordable and, just easier to do on your own with a car. So renting a car is $87.57 per person for the week. That gives you transport to and from the airport, as well as transport to and from your hotel, to your day trips. And our Airbnb has free parking on the street. So as long as you can get the free parking, there's no parking involved in this.
Yeah, and that's what's really important to think about when you're booking your hotel or your Airbnb or your apartment. You want to think about, if you're going to be renting a car, does it have parking for you? Sometimes they have a designated parking spot, like in a garage or a parking lot. And like as Kelly just said, sometimes they have a designated on-street parking. They actually have a pass. But other times you may have to think about what the cost is to park on the street, in addition to, all those other expenses. But
Right.
that's great.
Right.
Next.
So we've covered the COVID, we've covered, so to get into Spain, you do not, at the time of this taping, need a COVID test to enter Spain. So you can enter Spain without a COVID test from the United States, or, but you do need a COVID test to re-enter the United States. So the COVID test cost is $51 per person to re-enter the United States. So we've included that in our, our summary. Our gas, because we're gonna be kind of driving around, I've again, probably overestimated this because the distances aren't that far and the car is small, so it's efficient, and gas is $100 per person. So you're probably gonna end up with extra. We've also included parking at our airport of choice, which is Logan, which is $24.50 per person. I've been overestimating that. I just recently parked at Logan and it was not that expensive. However, you never know. So $24.50 per person. It may depend on the season if it's more expensive or not. And depending on how long you stay, changes the price too. So that's a reasonable estimate. And then there's no visa to enter Spain, so there's no cost involved in that. And then for activities, it's $154.81 that we have allotted for activities for our time in Barcelona, and then the day trips that we're going to do while we are in Barcelona.
Great. Now, thinking about the fact that we have the ULA price for our transportation of $44, and then of course there are activities, but we're doing our activities independently. So as we go, all the things that we chose to do, we've compared what it would be to do a pass, and then what we would want to do in the 5 to 7 days that are in Barcelona, as opposed to what it would cost, overall. And we found that it is cheaper to pay per activity than it was to buy the pass based on our interests. We do like, just to let you know, we like a mix of museums and galleries and events and places to see and churches and monuments and city halls and all the things that you do. So we love the variety. However, based on all the things that it offers and the discounts that it does, it is often, you do have to do the math for us for what our interest was and what all that we wanted to do on the days that we wanted to do it. It was more affordable to pay per item.
Exactly. So, and this depends on where you're going. You're going to have to do the math depending on what your interests are. You could just buy the pass and see the city, any city, buy the pass and probably get a good value. However, you really want to go to a city and see what you want to see. So Barcelona would not be Barcelona without the architecture of Antonio Gaudi. So when you go to Barcelona, the probably number one site in Barcelona is La Sagrada Familia. So that is a church that has been under construction for over 100 years. It was originally designed by a different architect, and then Antonio Gaudi took it over, and he put his spin on it. And his architecture style, I think, is easily described as Dr. Seuss-esque.
Yeah.
So it's kind of over the top, whimsical, very cartoonist. And he developed the La Sagrada Familia, which is still under construction because they have just in the last, I would say, decade, don't quote me on that, developed the concrete that can stand up to his unique style. So they have been able to complete more in a short period of time because of the development of the concrete. So that is probably the number one site in Barcelona. I do not think you need a tour for this, although you do have to buy your tickets in advance. So we've included a link to go directly to the site. Now, if you go on Google and Google it, you will get 1 million resellers and it will cost you more. You want to go directly to the source because it will be less expensive. In addition to La Sagrada Familia, Antonio Gaudi developed several homes inside of Barcelona proper. And there are many houses that you can visit, and I don't think you can go wrong with any of them. One in particular is a World Heritage Site, but honestly, just look at the homes that he has been the architect for, see what interests you, and go and visit one. We visited one, it was great. I've been to Barcelona twice. I did not visit on the first experience. I did visit on the second. I am going again in May, and I plan to visit a different house this time because they are very interesting and completely different from one another. So, the other suggestion I have about this is that walk down the street during the day and in the evening.
Yes.
The colors of the houses that he was the architect for completely change based on the light, and you will see a completely different house based on the light. And it's a beautiful city to walk around. I love to walk, so it's a beautiful city to walk around anyway. That is just a nice suggestion. The third place that's not to miss in Barcelona that has to do with Antonio Gaudi is Park Güell. Park Güell was designed as a kind of a development. So it was a high-end development with a park, and Antonio Gaudi was the architect. However, it failed to sell. There were only, a handful of houses that sold that, had a design for many more. So the park was turned over to the city of Barcelona, and now you can pay a fee to enter. You can, included in our price is just the entry. You can take a tour. I'm not sure, I hate to say tours aren't worth it. I'm not sure we learned a lot from that tour.
Agreed.
Yeah, so it's a timed entry, so you kind of want to figure it out. You can get there on public transit, no problem. It is definitely worth going to. You should absolutely go to if you are visiting Barcelona. That is a must-do. The public houses are something to see, really.
Yeah, they really are, but it's really a beautiful park. It's quite large. I was actually, because when you think about a park in any city or even on the outskirts of the city, it has sort of a limit. But you got to remember that this was, as Kelly said, designed to be a high-end district for those who could afford Gaudi's architecture and kind of create a sense of community. But because it was what they assume why it didn't sell as much, one was the price at the time, because things were changing economically, but also because it was so far outside of the city that people really didn't want to be outside of the scene from a social standing. And they didn't want to spend their summers out there, because what they really wanted to spend their summers was, somewhere else, or, out in the countryside or other, countries. So, but it is a beautiful park, and you would do well to read about the buildings and then do your own self-guided tour and do it as long as you want to.
And it's a great place to picnic. So if you, so it'd be a great place to do lunch and picnic. It's beautiful. It's definitely worth. And like Deb said, they thought it was outside the city. Now it's right in the city. So in the 1900s,
Right?
early 1900s.
Yeah, it's like around the
It
Gilded
was
Age,
kind
yeah.
of outside the city, but now it's in the city.
Yeah, and that region is beautiful. So walk around, and even the neighborhoods. It's a beautiful area. So I think you'd enjoy it.
And there still are people that live in that community.
Oh, yep. It's kind of a neat.
Yeah.
All right. So all the gaudy. Oh, and then there's a walking tour.
Oh,
As well.
so we always start with our Sandeman's walking tour, and we did in Barcelona. It was a great tour. We went to some of the cathedrals. I love churches, so well, I should say I love places of worship. So Spain is mostly Catholic, so we did a lot of churches.
Yeah.
So they brought us to churches. We kind of got our feet wet in the city. That was a good tour.
That was, yeah. And you got to a couple of the cathedrals as well, so that was beautiful. And it really is a beautiful city for a lot of places of worship, and there's a lot of them.
Yep.
The small ones to the large ones. Do take a moment and even step inside a smaller one. You'll be able to see how integral that is to the community. And it continues to be, unlike in the United States, it's actually very well-attended places of worship.
Yeah.
So
Another place that we really enjoyed was walking down La Rambla. So this is kind of like the main pedestrian area of Barcelona. And there's shops and restaurants, and there's like a market with fresh fish and vegetables and fruit. And we ate on La Rambla. We had paella that was great. But it's just a nice place to walk either during the day or during the night. And it's a long street and leads right to the waterfront. That is definitely worth doing, and spend a few hours. Rick Steves does have a walking tour that takes you through La Rambla and also takes you through some of the Roman ruins in that area.
Right.
So that's we did that, and that's a nice I have the Lonely Planet. So I don't have my Rick Steves, but I do have it, or I probably lent it out to somebody, because I always start every trip I'm taking, and I read Lonely Planet. If Rick Steves has done a trip, I've read that, and then of course I plan my days with the Streetwise map. So look at his book. He suggests you rip it out. I don't do that. I put it all in my TripIt app, which we'll do another video on that. I put it in my TripIt app, where to go next, and then I pass my books along, which is probably why I don't have it. Good. Day trips. So there are a lot of day trips. So the number one day trip, in my opinion, from Barcelona is Montserrat. So it is a monastery in the mountains you have to take a funicular to get up. It's beautiful. There's hiking. There's a Black Madonna that you can go and view or worship, whichever your choice. The line is long, so go early. There is a boys choir that is available only certain times of the year. So if you're interested in that, be sure to look. Again, book directly through the website for this, because it is cheaper. But you can spend a full day there.
Oh, for sure. I didn't really think that you would find time to spend a full day up at Montserrat, but having been there, you'd be surprised. The walking trails, the beautiful nature, understanding that this is a monastery, so they did live there, and this is their community. So there's buildings, and that there's a lot to see and do in that area. It is absolutely beautiful, and the view over Barcelona is absolutely gorgeous. We spent, I think, a couple hours,
yeah.
at least walking around,
Yeah.
you know, unlike just looking at, you know, different places within a monastery and within the chapel and what have you.
There's an art museum
The
there.
art museum is beautiful. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, we spent.
There was a gallery going on. Yeah. We didn't see the boys' choir.
No, they were not
because it wasn't
playing.
happening at the time.
Yep, they were not playing when we were there. I've been twice, and both experiences been completely different. So, you know, I would go a third time. It's really, really quite beautiful, and you can get there. The first time I went was public transportation. The second time I went, we went car. Car was easier. Public transportation wasn't much more difficult. So either way,
take your car. Yeah.
If you have a car, take your car.
Right.
Parking's easy.
Yeah. And you can park up closer, whereas sometimes you start to see that the parking is before you even get to it. You know, consider driving all the way up to it and see if you can get parking even closer, because I almost parked where we'd end up having to walk unnecessarily, but check there. Just that as you're driving, realize that you are going along a mountainside. You're on the edge of a mountain as you're climbing, and that you are sharing the road with the tour buses.
Right.
And there is a lot of tour buses that end up going. So just keep that in mind, depending on how you like to drive.
Yeah, which is why you rent a small car.
Always a small car. Yeah. That was beautiful. It was such a beautiful day.
Yeah.
We took the funicular up even further, and that was interesting. Is that where we saw the wild boar in the woods? And as we were coming back down the funicular, and we're like, is that a bear? and everybody's like just screaming out the windows, and we're looking, and we're like,
oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
And it was a wild boar. It was really interesting. It was kind of scratching up against some trees. And so just remember that this is outside of the city and there is wildlife. So as you are hiking, which made us cause to think after we were hiking, we could have happened upon this, you know, wild animals, but keep that in mind.
Yeah, it's a must do, really. It's a must do. Some other day trips from Barcelona are Andorra. You can day trip if country checking is on your list. Andorra is, it's very doable. We did it. However, bring your passport. So we knew to bring our passport, but then we forgot them. So we had to turn around and get them. Okay, that wasn't a big deal.
Not a big deal.
However, remember when we talked in a previous video about sometimes your cell phone doesn't work, so you should have your GPS just as a backup? This is a good example. So I have AT&T. I don't know what you have. Do you have?
Yeah, I have AT&T.
Yeah, okay. So AT&T has a million countries that it covers. So I have a plan that as soon as I enter the country, it just trips on. I don't have to ask it to.
And we'll talk about that in another video.
Yeah.
But,
So it trips on. Andorra, not one of those countries.
No.
So then, all that planning I told you about, putting the addresses in and your GPS so you're ready? We didn't do that. That was a mistake.
This is why we suggest the tips, because we've learned from prior trips.
So we went to Andorra. We couldn't use our cell phones. Well, we could have, but it would have cost a lot. And then our GPS chip didn't really have Andorra in it for whatever, or we didn't have things saved. Yeah. So it's not a big country. So and it was snowing.
Well, it's raining. However, remember you're in a mountainous region.
Yes.
And if you're not sure where Andorra is, I'll post a picture at the end. It is north of Spain, near Portugal and France. So, and quite honestly, fun fact, it's one of the tiniest countries in the world.
It's a micro country.
Yeah, micro country is what they call them. So, and it is a favored country for the Tour de France because they train there because of the hills and the rigorous, countryside. You're going up mountains. A lot of Olympic trainers go there for different reasons, altitude, etc. So when you're kind of not really sea level, clearly, but you are lower altitude, it's always raining. As you ascend into higher altitudes, it's going to snow, which we knew, mostly, but we didn't realize how much today, the day that we were traveling.
And we were in May. Just to put it in perspective. It's May. So we get to this scenic overlook where the view is beautiful.
Over the entire valley. It's supposed to be green across the valley.
You couldn't see in front of your face.
Yeah.
So Deb will share a picture. It was beautiful. We made the best of it. We had a great time. We got out of some very difficult driving situations, thanks to Deb, because things would, if you saw our Czech Republic, our Prague video, we talked about how we were driving up that path. Well, so we thought we learned. So we're in Andorra, and it looks like a path, and we're like, we're not doing that again.
Yeah, we're not doing a path.
Learned
again.
that.
That's a driveway.
Yeah.
That's somebody's house.
Oh, that's not a road.
No, you don't drive up there.
Turns out it's a road.
Yeah.
Right? Turns out it's a road to some famous church, because I have to see all the churches. So, okay. All right, we figure out as we see cars going up and down, because we decided we're not going. Yeah,
a truck, a pickup truck was driving up there, and we're in this tiny little car. 3 of our tires are on the road. One of our tires is off the road, going down a ravine, which if we fell through, we would land on people's houses.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty precarious, and we decide, well, if they're going up,
we should go.
We should go because the church is up there.
Yeah.
We got to see the church.
Right. So we did go, and we did see the church, and did a 1,000,000-point turn with me outside of the car directing her, and we made it out unscathed. However, just so you know, we ended up having a nice day. We ate at a very nice little Italian restaurant. The guy was very friendly.
So sweet.
We went to Andorra La Vella. We walked around a bit. We went to the Hard Rock. You know, I don't think it's the best day trip I've ever had.
Yeah.
So so we needed to get our passport stamped after all this.
Right, because you've been to one of the micro countries,
Yeah.
the smallest countries, you definitely want that stamp. There's
Right.
no other reason. You're going through,
Yes.
you're driving through like customs, sort of like you're going from the US to Canada.
Yeah.
They're not going to stamp your passport, as
Yeah,
you're
but they
driving.
do look at it.
But they do look at it,
Yeah.
but they're not going to stamp it. But you can go in and ask them to stamp your passport.
Yeah, so then we're on our way out. We're like, wait a minute, we've been here. Like, what is this? How do you do this? So we pull over at the passport exchange, and they're like, oh, you just go in this booth by yourself and stamp your own passport.
Yep. Stamp it.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Okay. Nobody's watching the stamp. Okay.
No,
fine.
could have stamped all the pages in your passport.
Yeah.
No one would have really cared.
Not that, whatever.
Why don't you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. But they did not care.
Because you need free pages. We'll get to that in a different
video.
Yeah. So, it's, if going to it is beautiful.
It is.
The people are nice.
Yeah.
But there's nothing like to see. It is a big skiing destination or like hiking or bike riding, a lot of bike riders.
Yeah.
So, I'm glad we went.
Mm-hmm.
Would I do it again? I don't think so.
Yeah. It's kind of a check the box country.
Yeah.
Beautiful, seen it, don't need to go back.
Yeah. So, there are some wine tastings outside of the city I've not done. They look very nice. Do you remember what the champagne is called in? There's a different, champagne is only in France, and Prosecco
Yeah, there's
is
a very unique
Cava
wine.
Yeah. So there's Cava tastings outside of the city, and then Salvatore, the painter.
Oh, Dali.
Dali.
Yeah. The Salvador Dali museum.
So there's a museum in his house. He died just outside of Barcelona in a seaside town. that's something I really want to do. And I may do on this next trip if I don't have time, because we have to get a COVID test. So that's a whole other issue. I have to figure that out. So that looks like a very nice day trip. We, on my first trip, my kids were young, and we went to what is like the Universal Studios of Spain. I can't remember the name of it. I would not recommend it. So, you know, there are plenty of other things to do besides. I did include a day trip to a medieval town that didn't really have any like entrance fees, but it looked like a nice little town to walk around as a day trip. So again, if you're in Barcelona in the summer, you could go to the beach. If you're a beach person, there's plenty to do, and the day trips really are endless, but those are a few suggestions that we've included in our budget.
Yeah. In Spain in general is just a beautiful city. And of course, you know, just doing a walking tour, because one of the cool things they will explain to you, like she had explained to us during our tours, that the different street signs are in Catalonia and then in, you know, Spanish and English. So there's still a lot of people, and it's not as prominent as it used to be, but there's still people who do speak, you know, in Catalonia. So they're very proud of that. And they try to keep that language very much alive, which I think is a really beautiful, you know, thing to recognize within the city.
Yeah. So in short, Barcelona, inexpensive, easy to get around, watch the pickpocketing, but a very good start to Europe.
Yeah. Wasn't there the little like speakeasy bar that we had to go in a special little entrance?
Oh, that's right. So one of these lists, you know how you get those lists.
Things to do.
Yeah. So like secret bars in the world. So we went to Paradiso, I believe it was called, which is a secret bar in Barcelona. So you walk into like a deli, and you open like the fridge.
You tell them about it. You say,
you know where you're
I'm
going.
here, you know, I'm here for this, and I'm going to the secret bar, and they'll let you open up this. And it looks like a, you know, like a refrigerator door. Yeah. So
then you walk in, and there's no windows. It's everything's fluorescent, really, and it's a bar. So that was fun.
It's a cute little bar.
The other kind of bar thing we did. Oh, so we went to, I believe it was called the Air Hotel.
Oh yeah.
Which is a hotel with a rooftop bar that overlooks La Sagrada Familia. So we went to La Sagrada Familia kind of late afternoon. Then we went to the bar. We had some sangria. We looked at the church and the surroundings. It was nice. That's a very nice thing to do. We also went to the W, which is on the waterfront, which is this kind of high-end kind of rooftop. It's not rooftop. It's like kind of the penthouse of the W bar. Wasn't really our scene.
Wasn't our scene, but if you're definitely looking for kind of a cool nightlife, you know, you want to be where kind of everybody else is going and want to be seen type of thing, dress up, go out, this is kind of the place for you. Because everybody flocks there, all the young kids go there, and you want to arrive like 9 or 10 o'clock at night type of, you know, club like, but it's not like a pulsing club, it's more like a social club.
That's a good description. That's a good description.
So that's a kind of.
So that it was nice, it was beautiful, the view was beautiful, just kind of, we were too old to be there.
They didn't want us hanging out there anyway.
Just to be honest.
But I will say, going back to the Air Hotel, somebody told us about it while we were, you know, somewhere. And they're like, you need to go to the hotel that's across from La Sagrada Familia and go up to the rooftop, and you will have the best view of the church. And so sure enough, there was nobody there.
Yeah.
It was amazing. We took the elevator up. And we enjoyed our sangria, enjoyed over. Of course, it rained a little bit, but whatever, nobody cared.
Yeah.
And the view was gorgeous.
Yeah.
Like, you can't pay for a better view and to have a nice cocktail and, you know,
It was
something
just nice.
to hang out.
Yeah.
It was really, really
Yeah.
worth it. So you should make a point of going there.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
In fact, I have that on my list of things to do when I'm going back. Probably not going to go back into the church. I've been into the church twice. And I think most of the work is being done on the outside, although I could be very wrong. But I think I'll pass on the inside of the church, do the outside, have a drink with my family on that rooftop deck and enjoy the view, because it was really one of the more memorable parts of the trip. Really. There's walking. I love to walk, so I will have us walking from here to Rome, but I just love walking around that city. It's like the architecture is beautiful, the people are nice, the neighborhoods are nice. You can stop in, have a drink somewhere, have something to eat, move on. It's just, you know, and walking, the first time we went, I'll tell you this story, which you probably don't want to hear. If you need bar soap, bring it with you. You can't find it in Europe.
No,
Okay.
Bar soap, like a bar.
Yes.
Yeah.
So my husband has to have bar soap. So it was the first time of us staying in a place like an Airbnb, but this was way before Airbnb even existed. And he insisted he had to have bar soap. So we walked all over Barcelona, in and out of every store. So we thought to look in a pharmacy. You can't find things like that in a pharmacy, just so you know. You need to go into like a grocery store or something like that. But we're walking all over. So that's how I knew to pass the Gaudi houses at different hours, because we were looking for Dan's bar soap. But it is a great city to walk around because the people are nice.
Okay, so let's go over the expenses. This is for May or September travel, and we use a similar spreadsheet where it breaks down all of the costs. So this is consolidated for what we've talked about. This is flight, Airbnb, the car rental we described, all the way to our parking, our gas, and as Kelly described, the food is overstated budget here, and our transportation pass, all the way to our activities at $154.81. So we break those activities down here. As you can see, we've budgeted everything from tickets to La Sagrada Familia, to Park Güell, to the Dolly House, and on, right? And this is the cost for Euro, as the websites display, and that's 137 Euro, and then we convert it to recent exchange rate for US dollar, that's 154.81. So going back, as we described, our trip is $1,500 per person, and we came in at $1,452.88, leaving $47.12 to spare. So hopefully you found this very useful in helping to plan your trip to Barcelona.